My ex-wife broke up with me a decade ago, 3 months before our child was born. She said I wasn't fit to be a father due to my issues with pain meds. I'd been in a wreck that caused severe spinal damage and pain, and formed a habit that I admit took me a lot longer to kick than I'm proud of. She was never supportive of that particular subject, but her leaving me over it was out of the blue. Court said custody would be 50-50, and it has been since. In that decade, I've done okay. Remarried a wonderful woman who I've had 2 girls with, and was promoted into a position with a 7-figure salary. My ex has not done well. She's remarried twice and was broken up with both times, filed for bankruptcy, and lives in what I can only describe as a dive apartment. I make sure my son is well taken care of. My wife, girls, and I spend every moment we're legally entitled to spend with him, and we offer to include him in literally everything, which his mother frequently declines when it's on her time. My son and ex both know that if he needs anything, he can call and ask. I've frequently sent food, clothing, etc., and several times put them both up in a hotel because their apartment was being fumigated or similar. Both my parents, my ex's parents, my sister, and of course my ex, feel I should be financially supporting my ex. Their reasoning is that my son stays with her half the time. She's the mother of my son, and during those times he's with her, they're both living in squalor, and my son gets upset every time he has to go with his mother, who he's starting to say he hates as of late. When she tells him she won't feed him because it's expensive, and to call me because I have money, it's no small wonder. So, as far as I'm aware, she can afford to feed him. She's working 2 jobs, but she'd rather I pay his expenses so she can afford expensive shoes and the minimum payment on her maxed out credit cards. I've tried to get sole custody, but the courts made it clear that's not happening because she has a good stable income. The court told me if I tried to sue her again without proof of gross neglect, they'd consider me to be harassing her. It's been extremely frustrating. I've held my ground thus far, as I feel I've no responsibility for her, and I have no desire to support her using my son against me for her own financial gain, which is exactly what she's doing. My wife says she sees both sides. So am I the idiot for not financially supporting my ex-wife because it affects my son? Edit. The court did not order child support. At the time we separated, my ex was making slightly more than I was and got to keep the house, which she lost. Not the idiot. The audacity. She already doesn't spend her money on her own son. She spends it on designer stuff. She has 2 jobs but wants you to pay for the kid's expenses when he lives with her. Plus, she'll take and spend any money you give your son. She needs to do better and actually take care of her son on her time with her money. OP, save proof of everything she says and does that is neglectful of your son. Text messages, emails, etc., where she's saying anything like that. Hire a good attorney and bring her butt to court again. You can even report to your son's school if his mother's neglecting him. They're obligated to report it. You clearly provide for your child and are a good parent. You can prove to the courts that she's unfit if you have sufficient documentation. You need to speak to an attorney. You are not the idiot for not wanting to financially support her. It's only your job to financially support your kid. If you make 7 figures, you sure can support your ex a little, if only so your son lives in better circumstances. A few $100 means nothing to you, but will change a lot for them. And yes, I get it. She messed you over, but you definitely came out way better. Now be a good winner and act appropriately. You are the idiot, OP. I agree with you. Personally, if I had the means, I would never allow my child to live in squalor. It doesn't sound like your ex was mean or vindictive. You had issues, and you seem bitter because she left you. What kind of mom would she be if she raised her kid with someone addicted? She's poor and struggling, not lazy. She works 2 jobs. Talk to your lawyer again. There are other ways you can support your ex without giving her money personally. Help her get a better job. Get gift cards to a shopping store, or make grocery deliveries once a week. Maybe you buy a condo for your ex and your kid to live in. And yeah, she gets booted on his 18th birthday. I understand you have some bad feelings for your ex, who you didn't feel supported you, but she's still your son's mother, and you are, in essence, punishing your child. My younger sister, Tessa, has been with Brian since her freshman year of high school. They're currently seniors in college. My mom has always loved Brian and treated him like family. He has some issues with his mom and spends most of his time at our house. 6 months ago, Brian pranked my wife on a family trip by destroying all of her makeup. She found it on the toilet and in the sink, filled with water, and was irate. I've never seen her like this. We woke my mom up screaming and demanded she finds out who did it. She didn't seem to think it was that big of a deal and tried to go back to sleep. Finally, she realized we were serious, so she woke Tessa, Brian, our other sister, and her boyfriend up to get to the bottom of it. Brian couldn't keep a straight face and finally admitted to it. My mom again tried to act like it wasn't a big deal, but I cussed Brian out and demanded he replaces everything. We came up with an estimate, which was just over $1,000. Makeup is her passion, and my mom paid for it because she said Brian was just a college kid. I was pretty angry, and we cut contact with Brian. It has since been implied that he was bribed with a fancy watch to do this, and everyone was drinking. But to me, there's no excuse. I still don't mess with Brian. Apparently, my mom's fiance offered to give him a Rolex, but he claims the whole conversation was a joke, and it isn't his fault that Brian was too wasted to get that. Well, my mom's currently planning a wedding and was talking about how she has no one to walk her down the aisle as she's mad at her father, but she feels like it's weird not to have someone. Brian volunteered, and she was clearly really moved by it and said yes. I internally felt sick. I told my mom that if she publicly honored Brian like that, I wouldn't be able to go. My mom seemed really taken aback and said I was being crazy and we needed to put this aside for a wedding. I said I was sorry, but I couldn't go if Brian was in the position of honor because what he did was despicable. My mom said I was selfish and an idiot and was like, fine, don't come. Brian got mad and said I was punishing my mom, and Tessa was screaming at me, calling me selfish and a horrible son. Clearly not the idiot. You don't have to attend a wedding with mom's fiance, who hates your wife enough to pay for someone to destroy her property, Brian, who hates your wife enough to actually destroy her stuff, and your mom, who doesn't care about your wife at all. But it's time to set some boundaries with your family and maybe talk to your wife if there's more she didn't tell you because she wanted to keep the peace. Yeah, so bullying your wife and destroying her property was on your potential future stepfather's mind as a funny joke? I think skip the wedding and wonder aloud to Brian that maybe it'd be funny for him to wear clown shoes down the aisle and leave it to him to ruin things on his own. They were obviously making fun of OP's wife for her interest in makeup. Why wouldn't your mom want you, her son, to walk her down the aisle? There's a lot of background info missing here. However, I absolutely don't blame you for not attending the wedding. Mom sees Brian as a son and chooses him over her actual son to walk her down the aisle, even after he destroyed hundreds of dollars worth of property. Clearly, OP and his wife have little standing or value in this family. Don't go, and seriously consider how much contact you choose to have with any of them going forward. Yelling, insults, paying you off on Brian's behalf, lack of respect, and insane drama. This isn't normal. Always wonder who the heck all these people are who act like this. Been with my wife for 2 years. I have 2 children from a previous relationship who are kindergarten age and 2 years old. Currently, she's 7 months pregnant. We're married, and we've been living together for 5 months. It's been an adaptation for everyone, mostly the children. During our relationship, even before living together, I knew my wife got the occasional headache. She takes painkillers but says they don't help, so she'll usually spend the day in our bedroom and sleep. The kids are at home, my wife has a headache, and I'm working from home. Kids are doing what they normally do, playing. My wife texts me asking me to keep them from making so much noise. I was in a meeting when she texted, so I didn't look at it until an hour later. She's upset, but the way I see it, it's the children's home. They're playing. What am I meant to say? My wife has a headache, go read a book? I don't think I'm an idiot. My wife does. Figured I'd ask. Am I the idiot? My wife has a headache. Go read a book. Yes, that's exactly what you should say. My daughter is 3, and when I have a headache, I say to her, honey, would you please quiet down? I have a headache. And then she calms down. So your kids should be able to do this too. Yep, you are the idiot. Not seeing the text for an hour is acceptable. Refusing to teach your kids empathy makes you an idiot. You could have easily told your kids that their stepmom has a headache, and that noise is really bothering her. Could they do something quieter? You shouldn't be angry at them if they fail, but you should slowly teach them to be aware of others and respect their needs, within reason. She's also 7 months pregnant, so she likely can't take her regular medication for this headache. Ever had a migraine? And it's the children's home? It's her home too. She's not some witchy woman for wanting y'all to respect her when she's 7 months pregnant and has a migraine. She wasn't asking a whole lot. Put a movie on for the kids. Send them outside to play. Ugh. Teach your kids some compassion for others. I honestly can't believe you're refusing to make accommodations for someone you care about. Not the idiot. I'm on your side here. She's about to be a mother herself and learn real quick how to deal with noise, headache or not. What will she do with the screaming baby while she has these headaches? All this beating you up for the kids playing too loud is BS. What are they supposed to do when they're stuck in the house while dad works and stepmom sleeps? Why couldn't she tell the kids to quiet down? How hard could that have been for her? My sister is 19 years old, and our relationship is complicated. She came to me not too long ago and asked me why I had moved away and didn't really come home again. She told me how she felt like she lost me, but that she also lost our brothers, and that she felt like the odd one out, like she wasn't our real sibling, and she wanted to know why this happened. I gave her a vague answer at first, but she repeatedly pushed, so I told her. Background: my sister was 3, and I was 12 when our mom died. Our brothers were 7, 8, and 10. After mom died, I became like the second mom figure to her and babysat her a lot. My brothers were all in school and extracurriculars, so they didn't need as much babysitting as she did. We were all very close though. My relationship with my sister was a little different. When I was 15, my dad remarried, and it was very hard on me. My sister bonded with her immediately, which made it harder. Dad and his wife were expecting a baby within a year of their marriage too, which added to that toughness for me. Dad and I had a bad relationship with all of this going on. We first fought after he set my brothers and me down and asked us to consider letting his wife adopt us. I was angry he would ever ask that. He was angry at my reaction, as well as my immediate refusal. Then it was over my half-sibling and my lack of interest in them. I didn't babysit willingly or eagerly as I did with my sister. I made it clear I didn't want to babysit the baby. I also didn't spend the same amount of time with them as I did with my brothers. I rushed through high school and worked my butt off so I could leave as soon as possible, which I did. After I moved out for college, I went to another state and didn't return to them anymore. I saw my brothers, which my dad allowed, but he wasn't okay with me seeing my sister and kept her back. My brothers all moved out once they were at the age where they could, and all moved to be closer to me. 2 of them lived with me for a while at first. As we spoke, my sister told me how it ruined everything because the boys followed me, and then she and her mom, Dad's wife, she calls her mom, ended up having a strange relationship because she always compared her to me and how I did things. I was honest about my feelings and reason for moving so far away. Then she started to get angry and told me it was a crappy reason and asked how I could destroy her chances of the family unit she wanted, because clearly that would never happen. Then she told me I shouldn't have dumped all that on her. Then it came back to me leaving and how she missed me and hated that we weren't close. She told me it was too much for her to handle. Her feelings were a mess, and it was my fault because I dumped everything on her. She did ask, but I feel bad. I love my sister, and I hate seeing what the truth has done to her, and even to us because there's anger there now. Am I the idiot? I'm not the idiot. She's way older than you when you were parentified. She, a young adult, couldn't handle the truth about your childhood experience. Her emotions are not your responsibility. She's also old enough not to ask questions if she expects people to coddle her with their honesty. You are both so young still, and you had to grow up way too fast. Your sister wants you to mother her and smooth it all over, which is impossible. Families are messy, and there will always be wrinkles in relationships. Not your fault, but your sister needs to accept that you handled it the best you could, then and now. Time for her to start doing the same. Agreed, that's not on you, nor is the fact that your dad actively stopped you from seeing her. I bet he never told you that. Sadly, your sister is hurting, but I think her blame is grossly misplaced. She should be looking to the adults in the situation back then, because I think it sounds like they handled your mom's death and the creation of a new family unit very poorly. I hope you continue to heal and that you and your sister can mend your relationship. I'm a teen male and super gay. I've been out publicly for 4 years, but honestly, it wasn't hard for anyone to tell before that. My family has all been chill about it, and I've never had any issues. Almost no issues. My mom's brother and his wife gave me the "that's nice" while trying so hard to force a smile whenever it's brought up. It's not so much my uncle as my aunt. She's super Catholic and super Irish. We do Christmas with my mom's side the weekend before, and I was sitting next to their preteen daughter. My other cousin was there with his girlfriend. He's my age. Little cousin said in her adorable young voice to me, "Why don't you have a girlfriend like my brother?" Honestly, without really thinking anything of it, I said, "I won't ever have a girlfriend. I like boys. I'm gay." Cue the hardcore stare from my aunt while my uncle tried to tell a story to distract her. It didn't start a big fight then and there, but today I heard all about how my aunt called my mom and really gave it to her. I had zero right to tell their daughter what gay was. They're the parents and they'll decide when she can know about it, etc. After my mom told me this, I questioned why they needed to be secretive about it. I asked if they thought it was shameful. Mom assured me no, but they claim as parents, it's up to us to teach our child about that. My uncle has since called me, basically begging for his sake to call my aunt and apologize, and get this, to try to walk back the comment the next time I see her. He's giving me the, "You know how she is, just apologize so she can stop annoying me about it." So, am I the idiot for doing this? Also, screw apologizing. That's not happening. LOL. Not the idiot. She's clearly old enough to recognize her brother's relationship. If the kid knows boys sometimes have girlfriends, it's very reasonable for them to know that some boys have boyfriends instead. "I like boys" is a very age-appropriate way of saying you're gay. If the kid had followed up with, "How does that work?" and you'd gone into details, it would have been as inappropriate as giving her the birds and the bees. But you didn't, and she may well have friends at school who have 2 moms or 2 dads. There's nothing wrong with being yourself and telling the truth. You did nothing wrong. Does your aunt expect to shield this child from all the different types of people in the world that she doesn't agree with? Also, what were you supposed to do? Lie and tell this kid? "Oh, thanks for asking, my dear child. I am very straight and actively looking and will find a woman I would like to have a romantic relationship with someday." No. Your aunt is an idiot with no common sense. OP, don't apologize for anything. Just continue being your awesome self. Your nibblings will see that you're gay, you're awesome, and there's nothing wrong with that, which is something that needs to be normalized far more than it is. Your uncle needs to grow a spine and stop asking other people to kowtow to his wife so he doesn't have to deal with her unreasonable tantrums.